Hey everyone. Going to talk a little bit really quick about what UJET is, literally one slide. We're CCaaS, contact center as a service, so the tools you need to run communications in a call center. We're deeply powered by AI, make it really easy for customers to get in contact with them. So that's all I'll talk about UJET. What I really want to focus on is kind of where we are all today. Like what happened a year ago? Why are we thinking about money versus growing everything, right? And maybe a little bit of both. So I think we all know that all of our priorities changed. A year ago it was growth at all costs. Just increase that ARR. Don't focus on the burn so much. We think about it, but not deeply focused. And there's just this interest-free money, right? Well, that all changed. Now, I think all of us, hopefully, have drank the Kool-Aid, and we're now on a path to profitability. So that means we need to increase efficiency. We need to increase our runway, make that those investments last longer for us, and we want to increase the value of the company along the way. Okay, how do we actually do that? There's a few different ways. And this is stuff that we've all kind of implemented in the last year at UJET. I'm sure a lot of you have done a lot of these similar things. So there's kind of 4 areas that we focused on. 1, people and culture, right? What do you have to do to inspire this culture of efficiency throughout your organization? 2, software spend. I know this is a little touchy because we're probably, half of us or maybe all of us are from, SaaS providers. And so, to talk about spending less money on software is a little bit scary, but it's something we have to do to make our companies more efficient. 3, infrastructure spend. It's probably your biggest, line item on your budget, maybe before or after, people. But there's a lot of efficiencies you can eke out there. And number 4, actually optimizing your architecture and your stack. So we'll go through some examples of that. So people and culture. First of all, I can't remember if this happened before or after the big change, but we hired a FinOps engineer. He basically takes ownership of spend across the whole engineering org. He lives within our SRE team, which is kind of SRE/DevOps stuff. He now kind of does both, but he basically democratizes the spend data, gets dashboards going, makes it available to everyone, both across and internal, inside the engineering org, but also to our finance org so they can see kind of where our spend's going. And he really works across, different teams to help them get visibility, to promote ownership, right? So that people really care about, what is this costing? What's my development environment costing? What is this new feature gonna cost us in production? Promoting broad ownership of fiscal responsibility, right? I think most of us, have embraced this idea of ownership of like systems, right? Like the idea of rotating through your entire engineering team through on call. Well, I think that also giving your entire engineering team this idea of, hey, this new feature, this thing you're deploying, it costs money. The more you can save the money, the more efficient the company is, the more value those options you have will be someday. So giving them visibility, simple things like we have a tool that you can deploy an entire stack. We kind of give you different t-shirt sizes depending on what you're trying to do. On that deployment, it tells you this extra large instance is going to cost you $573 per day. I made that number up, but somewhere around there. And so really understanding like, okay, like I can deploy this thing, and also you give it an expiration date. Do I need this to run for a day, a week, a month, in perpetuity? That kind of visibility is pretty important. Celebrating wins, we do this already for our engineers, but the same idea with when you're saving money. Like, hey, great job! We just made an extra small t-shirt size for this stack. That's great. Now these things cost half as much. Celebrate the wins loudly. Do the blameless postmortems with spend. People are going to make mistakes. They're going to leave on a huge instance. They're going to spin up a whole bunch of instances, and maybe the deletion script's going to break. Whatever. But that's okay. Treat them like regular postmortems. Learn from them. Build guardrails and move forward. Also, ask your vendors for credit. Sometimes if you deploy something big, your vendors are going to want to work with you. They want to make sure that you have a good experience too. We use Hey Taco. It's just a little Slack app. You can give people's kudos. We kind of just created it and made a channel, and eventually the entire org, not just engineering, uses it. So celebrate those wins publicly. Next, software. Overlap and deduplication. So you almost certainly use some kind of all-in-one tool that has a bunch of nice, like, smaller features that they're not point solutions. Maybe they're, half as good, 25% as good as some point solution. Ask yourself, like, is that really worth more? Like, I'm already paying for this all-in-one tool. Maybe it's from your hyperscaler, maybe it's from GitLab or whatever. And I'm also paying for this other point solution. Like, do I really need that overlap, or could I do without? And maybe you can do without. Maybe your vendor will work with you if you come to them and say, hey, we're thinking about churn. Keep track of those renewal dates. Hopefully your finance team is letting you know, hey, don't forget this is gonna renew, or hopefully you don't have auto renew in your contract. But every time one comes up, evaluate. Do you really need it? Be creative. Now I know Copilot's gonna speak later, but we were previewing Copilot. We really liked it. I hope everyone here has asked OpenAI, ChatGPT to write code for them. It is amazing. The productivity boost you get from having it write a bunch of unit tests or help you find a bug or basically write code for you is huge. But $20 per engineer per month, that adds up, right? We have about 100 engineers. So we decided to use OpenAPI, just API access. You're just paying for tokens. Open source IDE plugins. They have them for VS Code and for JetBrains. And it's we're spending a few $100s a month tops on tokens. So that's a massive savings right there. Just tell your whole company not to put anything proprietary or code into the ChatGPT interface, because that's going to be used for training. Your proprietary data and code will probably end up in ChatGPT 5. Infrastructure. Look across your whole stack frequently. You probably have systems that were deployed that aren't doing anything. They're oversized. You have drift in your IAC. Make sure that your infrastructure code actually, is up to date. Ask yourself, do you really need these instances running? Are they the right size? Do this on a regular basis. You should be looking at your stack, whether it's through the hyperscaler's tools directly or through a third-party provider. Look at that and see what's going on. Right size. You should also make sure that your instances have enough memory, CPU, bandwidth, et cetera, to support their use cases, but not a ton more. I mean, if you have spiky workloads, that's how it is sometimes. But use your observability tools plus the built-in tools from the cloud providers, and then again, look at this over every month. Evaluate what you're spending. Turn off or scale down, and then of course use auto scaling wherever possible. Architectural stack optimization. So managed services are expensive. Some of our biggest cloud spends are managed databases and cache. Consider alternative tech. We were doing some load testing. Elasticache ended up being or Redis was a bottleneck because it's single-threaded. We found replacing it with KeyDB, running Kubernetes, massive savings, like 75% cheaper. Optimize your stack. Make your application more efficient, right? It will handle more scale, which is great, but you'll also find performance bottlenecks, which will save you money. So look for those performance bottlenecks during scale and load testing. We have our own stack that we use to simulate a very heavy load in our stack. Called Large Call Center Simulator. We're constantly using that to push the envelope of the amount of scale that we can have, even more than some of the biggest call centers out there. Not just so we can handle the scale, but also so we can make the stack more efficient. And then we save money because you need less infrastructure to run it. So look for bottlenecks, non-performant queries. Spend your engineering time to fix it. It's like tech debt, you need to be paying it down all the time. So to recap, I hope you're already on it. Get on the path of profitability. Make positive financial culture changes. Reevaluate your software spend and choices. Do this frequently. Continually look at your infrastructure usage. Optimize your architecture and applications. That's it. Thank you.